So today I thought let's take you outside on this beautiful Brisbane day, and especially with the way things are with the virus, I thought let's go outside. And I thought I'd start in this corner because at the moment, you know, we have corners that are our favourites for a while and then other corners become favourites. So at the moment this is my favourite corner, and especially because of this plant here. This is one of my Vitex agnus castus trees, and it is past the flowering stage now. We're actually at the fruit stage, but because we're looking at inflorescences today, this is a beautiful example of a racemose or indeterminate inflorescence where it's already gone to fruit. And so remember, once our flowers are done, of course, we end up with our fruit. So imagine before it was at this stage, we had these divine little mauve zygomorphic flowers. So from our last lesson, you'd remember zygomorphic means we can only dissect evenly straight down the center. So we're going to look at a few more inflorescences, and here in Brisbane we don't have that many cymose inflorescences, but this one over here is again another racemose inflorescence. This is, and some of you might recognize this as an Asteraceae, and this is one of my Artemisias, and you can see you've got these relatively long, lovely sort of linear leaves. You've got a flowering axis coming out of your axillary bud, and yet definitely racemose because everything's smaller at the top. Even the distance between your nodes is much, much closer. So we're going to look at another Asteraceae, and it's a miracle that they got to flower thanks to my bush turkeys, and that's this Echinacea just over here. So some of you would also have them growing now, and you can see this is a perfect example of a racemose capitulum or a racemose head. These are actually radiate inflorescences. So your flowers or your florets are sessile in your receptacle. And if we look underneath, you can see those lovely volucral Asteraceae bracts. Terrific. So, and just next to that, we have one of my many salvias. So I do love the salvias. Obviously these are Lamiaceae, and you can see what I mean with these tiny little zygomorphic flowers. I want you to think about what type of inflorescence that could be. I think you'll get the idea once we look at a few more. So I'm just going to show you a racemose inflorescence of one of my monocots. And as you can imagine, this takes a while to get to this size. So this is actually a great example of a panicled racemose or indeterminate inflorescence of one of my bromeliads. So you can tell that you know, everything is smaller, closer, tighter together at the top. Down the bottom we've already got things drying out a bit, you know, and I've cut it now because it was weighing the plant down quite a lot. Another terrific example of, again, racemose is what's commonly known as a blue ginger, but it's actually known as a Dichorosandra. And I'll come back over in the shade so we can see it better. You can see this beautiful little inflorescence. Okay, you can see that the flowers down the bottom are open more than the ones at the top. This is not a true ginger. This is not even in your Zingiberriaceae family. People often call it ginger, but it's definitely not that. Don't worry about that. That's from one of my begonias in there. Okay, so that's lovely. You can see how these little tiny leaves here, you can see how the inflorescence, the little umbel, little panicle there has come out of that leaf axil. So nice to have a bit of a look at something very, very common in the gardens up here in Queensland. So we're going to move over to the right and have a look at one of my, or two of my cymose inflorescences, and they're the only two I've got. So we've got one Ixora, and so when you compare the two, so your other type, obviously things are going to keep going. With this, your flowering axis stops once you get to the flowers. Plus the oldest flowers are at the center. So you can see that all of these young ones are on the outer of this relatively simple umbel inflorescence. This is not compound, this is simple. An example of a compound umbel inflorescence is actually this delightful little bamboo begonia. And again, you can see you've got younger flowers, well, they've almost developed into their seed capsules on the outer. And I might just break that leaf off so we can see better. And you can see by these ones here that once everything is finished flowering and we've gone to the seed or the fruit stage, this flowering axis will die off. And that is the difference between our two main inflorescence types. If we move a little bit more over to the right now, I've got a fabulous bee attractant over here at the moment. Now this is again one of our Lamiaceae. This is a terrific ornamental salvia that, if you look closely, has already lost its florets, or most of them. But you can see that you've still got your little sepals. They just happen to be purple in this case, and there could be a little nutlet in there. Okay, so these just go gangbusters, and then you've got to cut them right back. So our climate means that's one of the things we need to do at the moment. And it's protecting another Echinacea really beautifully down there. Okay, one more inflorescence I want to show you, and that's over this way. Just going to go over here, and this is this little beautiful little creamy coloured, oh, now I can't think of the name, I've had a block. Oh yeah, Stephanotis, it's a Stephanotis, yeah. And it's actually, so you can see there's only 3 flowers in that inflorescence there. And if we look just over more towards the right here, on the fence line, we've got this massive fruit, which actually is full of dried seed capsules once we open it up. So we're going to talk about fruit down the track, and it's the evolution of, obviously, our reproduction. But what I want you guys to do now is have a bit of a look, work out, okay, is it indeterminate, determinate, is it an umbel or is it a head? Chances are it's probably a racemose inflorescence if you're living up here, but have a bit of a fun with it and see how you go. We'd love some feedback in the forums, just so you can, and photos of whatever it is you've found, and if you're not sure, we'll give you some answers. Okay.